I'm going with my brother, and we're taking a bus to a place and then transferring on another bus. I did have a girlfriend there. To talk about her, Susanna. This was I'm going to a Jewish school, and I get off. I met Susanna in school, and what I would do is I'd get off the bus. Ralph would go to the end of the line, and I would get off one stop early, pick up Susanna, and walk her to school. I was 8, she was 10. and she had braids. That was very popular in those days. By the way, some years later, when I was dating the girl that was eventually going to become my wife, I did the same thing. Got off one stop early, picked her up, and then we would go to someplace. And she said, "Oh, this is very nice." I said, "Yeah, I know, I did this in Berlin." But the question that I couldn't figure it out, really couldn't figure out, what is the basis of a law that Jewish children cannot be in a mixed class? What will a Jewish kid do to the others that you have to take them out? And I told the story for a long time and didn't have an explanation for that law, because I think every law has a basis. This one must also have a basis. Until 2001, when I saw a book, and the book had a black and white photograph in it, and I will show you what this looks like. But this is the same book cover, but now it's in color, and this is what it is. And it's a German book, and of course it has a German title, The Giftpilz, the Poisonous Mushroom. And it's a collection of stories that parents can read to their children. The ones who can read for themselves can read. And one of the stories in this book is called Poisonous Mushroom. I took the German text and translated it as follows. By the way, all these stories are scurrilous, hateful things. And to have a father or a mother sit on his bedside and read to their son or daughter some of these things, I can't even understand this. But here it is. A blonde-haired mother teaches her lovable little boy while they are collecting mushrooms. Look, Franz, one must watch out for bad people, just as we do for poisonous mushrooms. And do you know who these bad people, these poisonous mushrooms of humanity are? The mother asks. Franz throws his chest out proudly. Indeed, mother, that's something I know. It's the Jews. The Jews. It's the Jews. Our teacher told us about this many times in school. Some teacher. His mother, laughing, claps him on the shoulder. And now comes the moral of the story. Good heavens, the clever boy. She becomes serious. Just as a single poisonous mushroom can kill an entire family, a single Jew can destroy a whole village, an entire city, yes, even a whole people. Franz understood. In other words, Jewish people have some, according to this rationale, Jewish people have something in them that is toxic. You cannot remove it. Therefore, you must remove the child so that the toxic I'm using modern terminology. The toxic element doesn't contaminate the classroom. I think this is it's a valid explanation, but disgusting. But you know, you have to deal with a lot of things in life that aren't pretty. So here's one. By the way, just so long as we're talking about disgusting things, at the same time as this book was circulating in 1938, there was also a board game that was available. Now, today, if anyone has that book or any books like it, or this board game, which I'll talk about in a moment, it is against the law to sell it. It's not against the law to have it. You cannot sell it in Germany. So here's a board game, and it's just like all board games. There's a circumference and tracks, game pieces, and then you have dice. You throw the dice, you move the game piece, and you try to get something. In this game, which is called Juden raus, or Jews out, the idea is to land on a Jewish residence or business, and when you do, you can take them out, and the first person to get 6 Jews wins the game. Unbelievable. Maybe this is also a good time for me to talk about more anti-Jewish laws. The Nazi government comes to power on the 30th of January 1933. And there is an area of Berlin called Schöneberg. Actually, it means beautiful mountain. There are no mountains in Berlin. It's flat as a pancake. Somebody once made the point that they have a pile of refuse in a waste treatment facility. That was the highest spot in Berlin.
Right.
And so they called it Mistberg. Mistberg means junk mountain or junk mountain. Anyway, get back to serious things. There were 2 artists who put up, I'll call it a memorial, because memorials take different forms. And I'm looking, can't see them quickly, but imagine a rectangle 2.5 by 3.5 feet. It could be either landscape or portrait. And I will show you some of the photographs and tell you a little bit about them. Here's the first one, and the reason it's the first one is that it's March 31, 1933. Remember, I just said January 30, 33 was the beginning, and here it is already. It's not even 2 months. It's just a little short of 2 months. Amazing. The law says costs for medical treatment by a Jewish doctor after April 1, 33 will not be reimbursed by the Berlin City Medical Insurance Plan. And just so you get the depth of this thing, this is what the sign says, but the law applied equally to dentists, pharmacists, any professional group, university professors, judges, you name it. Can you imagine what it must be like to be a child in a home where the father is the doctor, and he comes home and says, I have some bad news for you. And the bad news is that starting April 1, there's no more money coming in. Okay, what is the family supposed to do? There's also a strange irony in this particular law, because in Berlin, you have to see if you can hang on to these two numbers. The Jewish population of Berlin in the 30s was 4%. 4%. The number of Jewish doctors in Berlin in that same period was 50%. Half of all the doctors were Jewish. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why this law went into effect. And the same for all the other professional groups. But even so, my father happened not to be a physician, so he was not affected. But all of the professional groups otherwise were. If you get this and turn it over, you will see also in 1933, August 16, Jews are expelled from all choral groups. I'm in the choir in our temple in Seattle. Of course, I'm not sure if the law applied to Jews who are in a Jewish choir. But just imagine that you couldn't sing anymore. And I want you, when you get this, I want you to ask yourself, I'm going to give you the answer. I'm going to ask yourself, is there a difference between this law for the professionals and this side of the music? And of course the answer is yes. This one has to do with economic issues, the impoverishment of the Jewish community of Berlin. This side has to do with quality of life. And I actually did an analysis of the 80 signs. I have access to all of them. And in the early stages of the Nazi regime, the impact on the economic well-being of the Jewish community was the priority. And then little by little, as the time moves along, they start going into other things. You know, as they remove the money, they start going after quality of life issues. Excursions by groups of more than 20 young Jewish people are forbidden. 1935. Can't go on a hike anymore. And amazing, in 1938, Aryan and non-Aryan children may not play together. Aryan is a fancy word for Christian. So that makes non-Aryan Jews. And that says that a Jewish and a non-Jewish child may not play together. Look at a pretty graphic on the back, hopscotch diagram, whatever you call that thing, where you play hopscotch.